82 with some sun most of the day aside from possible thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
The new Smokin' Triple Stack at Firehouse Subs is stacked high with honey ham, smoked jerky, and slow-smoked beef brisket. To top it off, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. The Smokin' Triple Stack Sub. Get it for a limited time, only at Firehouse Subs. Participating U.S. locations. Firehouse of America, LLC, and Firehouse Subs suppliers together will donate 0.09% of purchases in 2023 at Firehouse Subs locations to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the purchase of life-saving equipment with a minimum donation of $1 million.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC Network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
It's time for the 2023 Southern Lights Talent Event. We're looking for local artists, including singers, musicians, comedians, any family-friendly talent that wants to take their talent to the next level. $10,000 in cash, recording deals, Chipola scholarships, video specials, all going to talented people from all over the tri-state area. We're also looking for sponsors, people and businesses that want to support local artists and make an impact on their community. Auditions are going on right now, so check us out today at southernlights.cc.
Are you looking for a way to stay safe and independent at home? If so, then you need to look at Compassionate Love Home Care. Compassionate Love Home Care provides a variety of services to help seniors and people with disabilities live safely and comfortably at home, making each day the best it can be. To learn more about Compassionate Love Home Care, please call 850-628-8438 or visit their website, CompassionateLoveHomeCare.com.
Forget where you left the keys? Forget where you parked the car? Forget to feed the kids? As we get older, we forget things. Forget no more. Vita Memory Max restores your brain power to get you back to life without all the clutter. Work more efficiently. Get back on track with Vita Memory Max. Go to VitaMemoryMax.com. That's VitaMemoryMax.com. Don't forget, VitaMemoryMax.com. Use promo code RADIO for a free month supply. Details at VitaMemoryMax.com.
Drop it.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good morning, Panama City Beach, Panama City, and all our great stations across the Florida Panhandle. I'm Ryan Mulvey, joined today by David Hayes, the host of the Afternoon Underdogs. Appreciate him filling in for Jay Henley, who unfortunately had to attend a funeral up there in the Atlanta area, but he'll be back in studio tomorrow. You're listening to the Inside Drive live on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can listen live and local on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 up in Mariana, all the way to our friends in Southeast Alabama and Dothan, and of course across the border to Southwest Georgia, where Jay's old stomping grounds are. We've got 3 great local shows Monday through Friday. You probably listened to the Coach James Hale show this morning from 7 to 9 a.m. Then you can ride with us during the midday hour from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then don't forget to finish your last local show of the day from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. with David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can check them out at 2251 West 23rd Street in Panama City. You can give the Chevy dealership a call at 850-250-1403, or you can give Kramer Marine and Outdoor a call at 850-851-0453. Not only are they a Suzuki motor dealer, but they also are a Yamaha outboard full-line dealer with Yamaha Master Certified mechanics on staff. And if you were out and about this weekend, it was a great weekend to be out there on the water. I know there was a lot of people out on the water, both in the bays, offshore, fishing, enjoying Shell Island, jet skiing, paddleboarding, all that good stuff.
That's what we were up to, was a paddleboarding.
Nice.
We opted for no outboard motor at this point in time, but we're working on that.
Hey, the beautiful thing about paddleboarding is it's a great exercise in addition to having a lot of fun. And of course, it was Mother's Day yesterday, so wishing all the moms out there, hope they had a wonderful Mother's Day, including my own wife, Beth, my mom, Sue, and my mother-in-law, Cheryl. Hope everybody had a great time. We spent a lot of time running around on the water this past weekend, celebrating moms and all the awesome things they do. How about you, David? Good Mother's Day weekend?
Yeah. I mean, my mom lives down in Jacksonville, so, didn't really get to celebrate as much. Actually, both of our moms are on opposite ends of the country because her mom lives in Washington.
Oh, man.
And my mom over there in Jacksonville. But, got to catch up with her via phone call. And, outside of that, though, we had a great day as a Mother's Day. And then, awesome. Happy Mother's Day to all the ones who are mothers out there, because like you guys were saying all day Friday, we would not be here without them.
That is just straight up fact.
Yeah, facts. No cap.
No cap there, as the kids say. Now the adults are starting to say more often. Don't forget about South Oak Title and Closing. They've got 4 locations across the Panhandle of Florida. I saw Chuck Tucker Friday playing in the golf tournament that we had, the Bay County Chamber of Commerce Spring Classic, which was another awesome event. Kudos to Elizabeth Smith and the rest of the Bay County Chamber team for putting on another wonderful golf tournament. And congratulations to all the winners in that tournament. We've got a lot of stuff coming up this week. We did a very small greens aeration this morning. The golf course is now back open. Tee time started actually right at the beginning of this show. We got people back out on the golf course with a small 1/4-inch tine. That's about the size of your pen top or your eraser on your pencil. So really doesn't impede the putting too much, but a necessary process to keep green health and turf health looking fantastic for everybody as we're getting closer to the summer.
And a little advice via Tommy Cool: do not repair your ball.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, you can if you're out there playing today, but yeah, if you're playing in a championship USGA governed event, you cannot. What's crazy too is they changed the rules a few years ago to allow you to repair pretty much anything on the green except for that.
That's wild, man.
Which is, but because the rule before, like, you couldn't necessarily fix spike marks and stuff like that. It was kind of silly. And then, but again, I'm still confused, and I need somebody to give me some more information on why they were playing on aerated greens in a U.S. Open qualifier. It's just not what you're allowed to do. For sure. Don't go visit South Oak Title and Closing for all your real estate needs. Awesome locations, like I said, Panama City Beach, 30A, Destin, as well as Lynn Haven. All title services are about the same fees no matter where you go, so you might as well to go somebody who's expert and can help you get across that closing table smoothly, efficiently, and having a great time while you do it. So go visit South Oak Title and Closing. I know all the Beach House women, happy Mother's Day to all the Beach House women, use South Oak Title and Closing, and they do a wonderful job. Had some local scores from this past weekend get finished up. Unfortunately, the 2 remaining baseball programs from our area, Bozeman and Mosley, even though Chipley is moving on. Bozeman lost to Chipley 3-1 on Saturday, and Mosley lost to Buckholz 7-2 on Saturday as well. So good luck to Chipley as they continue on their bid at the state championship tournament. No games tonight, but we still do have one team from right in our direct area remaining. That's the Arnold girls varsity softball team. They take on Wakulla tomorrow night to try to continue their state championship bid. So still got one team left in there.
Yeah, root hard for them, man. You really got to feel there for Bozeman. They've been on the cusp just
so
many times, and you got to feel for those seniors there. If that, for their that was it. That was the final run. But you've got a wealth of talent coming in up through the youth ranks over there with Coach Patton and the Bucks. So lots to be excited for over there in Bozeman.
Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 850-215-6290. Later on today's show, we'll be joined by our friend, Coach Amy Bond, the FSU women's golf coach. She'll be giving us a call at 12:20 our time as they're getting ready to head out there to Grayhawk in Scottsdale, Arizona, again for another national championship bid. So we're going to recap a little bit about their regional performance and then what they're looking to do as it gets closer to that national championship. I know the men's golf regionals are getting underway as we speak as well. Also, 44 days until the Bay Point Billfish Open. It's coming up soon. It's going to kick off on Tuesday, June 27th with a crew and sponsor dock party, followed by the Bay Point Golf Scramble on Wednesday, June 28th. That's an 8:30 a.m. shotgun. Still lots of sponsorships available for that tournament. The Billfish sponsorships are also available, but we have specific sponsorships as well for the Bay Point Golf Tournament that's part of the Billfish Open. That's going to be at 8:30. If you want to reach out and find any more information about that, you can just give us a call over there at the Golf Club. It's 850-235-6950. I didn't think about that. There's a lot of numbers going on. But there's going to be about 144 players playing in that tournament. So if you're looking to get in front of a lot of people, you can sponsor a hole. There's a couple other sponsorships available, or just do a hole sponsor sign. It's going to be a big event, with the tournament check-in and registration kicking off that afternoon, starting at 2 p.m. Then you've got the mandatory captain's meeting, captain's banquet, and then the cool tournament kickoff dock walk. All the public are invited to come out that, and then there's a private concert that night at 8 p.m. that'll be open to all the sponsors, participants, and people with tickets. Optional entry continues Thursday, June 29th. You got to get in. It's the last minute to get in, starting at 8 a.m. that morning, because 9 o'clock, the boat parade will head out to the Gulf. 10 a.m., Panama City Beach flare start will get kicked off, and then you kind of rinse and repeat for the next couple of days. You got a sponsor party and a concert at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock that night. Friday, same thing. Everybody's still out there fishing in the Gulf. The scales will open, though, at 4 p.m. So if you want to come out and see those big fish coming in off the boat and see them being weighed in right there at the Bay Point Marina, you can come out at 4 p.m., and that'll be going on until 8 p.m. with another concert kicking off at 7:30 that night. Followed up by Saturday, the last day the scales will be open. It'll be 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. You come on in with that big billfish, and then the award ceremony will end the tournament Sunday, July 2nd at 10:30 in the morning, and then we'll be moving right into 4th of July week.
I just need to know who to root for or cheer for so I can get a little slice of that $2.5 million.
Yes, and that $2.5 million if you bring home that state record blue marlin. If you catch it out there during the Bay Point Billfish Open, you will win a $2.5 million prize, which is pretty awesome. I'm hoping that happens, because that would certainly be very, very, very exciting to. And you can check out all this information. Just visit BayPointBillfishOpen.com. Especially if you want to register, you just click on register my team, and it also tells you how many teams are registered as well. I think they've got about almost 60 teams registered for this Bay Point Billfish Open, which hasn't been around since 2012.
Wow, and we're looking for a blue marlin here, right?
For the $2.5 million prize.
So you only need 1,047 pounds, y'all. That's all you need. Come on, man. Like, take you a couple hours to land that, but
half a Volkswagen Beetle. But other than that, you're good. They're good. They also have prizes for tuna, wahoo, and mahi as well. So it's not just a blue marlin tournament. There's prizes for other fish as well, and they're doing a catch and release portion of it as well. I guess there's some way they can kind of do a video and authenticate it and all that good stuff. So, but again, visit BayPointBillfishOpen.com to check out more information about that. As I mentioned, this Friday, we've got the Indus tournament coming up. There's still some teams available for that one. That's going to be a great, fun tournament. One of our members, Mr. McGregor, he's in charge of Indus, which is like a military corporation, and they've been doing this golf tournament. This is their 3rd annual golf tournament, and proceeds from this event will help go to the Warrior Beach Retreat as well, which we all know is pretty big in this area. So if you want more information about that, you can give us a call at the golf shop, or you can just check out Indus.com. We did have to postpone our Sunday brunch live music this Sunday coming up on the 21st. We'll just kick off with our 2 June dates. But Mark Knaps, who plays live music for us on our Sunday brunches, I guess he's heading to Greece, is what Diego told me this morning. So fair enough. We'll let him go to Greece instead of play Sunday brunch. But we still have breakfast both days on Saturdays and Sundays. That's 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. where we kick it off with lunch.
What about Jay filling in?
I like that idea. Just a country boy singing some music.
Yeah, I think
that'd
we
be
could
good.
get down with that.
If he's got that in him, we need to talk for sure.
Jack of all trades.
That would
man.
be
That's
good.
Jay.
Little acoustic guitar, rocking out, playing some Sunday brunch. A lot of fun stuff happened this weekend. Lots to talk about. I had an interesting thing. I'll throw it at you here pretty early. The Warriors-Lakers series, which ended with the Lakers coming out on top. I just want to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people are talking about, was there definitely some favoritism towards the LeBron camp and the Lakers camp? They're saying for the second time the NBA helped LeBron beat Steph. Here's where the facts kind of come in. Los Angeles Lakers got 80 more free throw attempts over 6 games, which is an average of 13.3 free throw attempts per game more. However, in the 4 wins, the Lakers got 19.8 more free throw attempts per game and won the game by an average of 14.8 points. When the free throw attempts were equal or a 5.5 differential, the Warriors won each game by 21.
I mean, it makes you scratch your head. There's no doubt about it. And I don't want to say that it is or isn't, because for me, if I ever find out that they can prove that anything is rigged
so
in the
hard
sports world,
proving is the impossible
right? No,
part.
100%. But if it were to be like that, I don't know why I would continue to watch. I just become a full-time, and this is no disrespect, but full-time WWE fan. So that way I can get my soaps and sports, all right there in the same vicinity. No problem with that. My problem with this whole issue is that it does seem like they're pushing for this Lakers-Celtics rivalry in the finals to kind of be renewed in a sense, especially with LeBron on his way out of the league, and that is ridiculous. Now, this is also without watching 100% of each and every game
for sure
in that series for me, so kind of shooting from the hip here, but just off of those numbers alone, it does seem like they're cooking something up, and I hate that, because a Lakers-Celtics series would be great, but so would a Nuggets-Heat series, in my opinion. At the end of the day, I just want to see good basketball, and when we're seeing disproportionate calls like this, it's very easy for me. In fact, I do it all the time. The game's off, or I turn the volume off, and I try to keep up with the scores, but that's a big difference there, and it seems like they've got Scott Foster refereeing or officiating every game there, and I just don't like that, because the series in and of itself with the names of Steph Curry and LeBron James is something to behold there. And when the whistle's blowing too much, let's slow down the calls in the postseason, man. It needs to be a little bit more like hockey. Bite the whistle.
Yeah, bite the whistle, let them play, and that's kind of. And there's been a lot of this talk with some of the major sports over the last few years, and I think the reason why you're seeing a lot more of that kind of stuff is the analytics are so prevalent in the game now, so you can really dial it down, like we just said, to these specific amounts of different things, and then you start looking at it and you say, I don't know if that's a coincidence or that's just something weird going on. This morning, Matt Ryan announced that he's going to join the CBS crew as an analyst, which, a lot of former NFL quarterbacks have done a really good job as analysts, for sure. What are your thoughts on that, David?
I'm excited about seeing him there in that point. I mean, he gets overlooked maybe by some of the newer or younger generations just because of the 28-3 and all of that good stuff. But we're talking about a guy at one point in time, which this isn't a record of any sort, but was the highest paid quarterback in the league, and for good reason. Him and the Atlanta Falcons, especially with Julio Jones there, had one of the most potent offenses in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how he analyzes the game, picks it apart, and what he can show us along the way. So, and I think that he has a kind of a different attitude than some of the other guys that are going to be analysts there as well. So anytime that you can have a good mixture on your set, I think that that's a great thing here. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know that the Colts are glad that they don't have to, to worry about him being a Indianapolis Colt next year. And
even though he's not retired,
he's not retired.
He's just joining the crew, because I think if he officially retires, he loses some of that money he's still owed.
He's double dipping there, and who knows, Jimmy G could go down there in Las Vegas, and Tom Brady, makes the call, says, "Hey, Matt Ryan, I know I did you dirty there in the Super Bowl, but come help the Raiders out."
Well, it was crazy. I was flipping through a little bit yesterday when we were in between doing stuff, and I stumbled across the NFL Network and a Super Bowl classic game, and I always like to see what those games are. And the NFL Network did all the Falcons fans dirty yesterday by running that game on Mother's Day.
On Mother's Day. 28-3.
Liam was walking by, and I think he's heard or knows about that game, because it was 28-3 with it's probably 7 minutes left in the third quarter. And I go, "Liam, if I told you that the Patriots came back and won this game, would you believe me?" He's like, "Well, I already know the answer." I said, "But," he's like, "No, if I didn't know the answer, I would say absolutely not." Keith just texted me and made a good point too about sorry, Keith, for bringing that up. He's a big Atlanta Falcons fan, but the Warriors took over 30 more 3-pointers than the Los Angeles Lakers. So great point there. Obviously not bringing it in and driving to the hole as much and getting as many fouls, whereas the Lakers seemed to that was kind of more their momentum, or their style.
Their modus operandi.
Yeah, there you go. Which would lend itself to be more fouls called during those particular, during those games. So they averaged about what they normally would get in free throws during the regular season.
And that's what makes it so hard to take that deep dive, or not even that deep dive, but just diving with your words saying it's rigged or it's not, because if that's why I can't say that it is. All I can say is that some of those numbers point towards that, but then you bring up Keith's point, and it's like, yes, of course, the guys who are shooting from the perimeter are not going to get the same fouls because there's not as much contact out there. And then also, if you're going to stand on that foundation of it is rigged in any sport, then you better be watching every single second and then watch the replays after that, because that's what I have a hard time with. I mean, you look at the Super Bowl with the way that all played out, and the Twitter world, the social media world wants to go on fire, going against, bringing up the refs, what they should, what they shouldn't have done. And it's like, man, that is casting a shadow over one of the greatest Super Bowls that was ever played. Why can't we just sometimes sit back and enjoy the game?
That's right, because people, it's the one call that was definitely a bad one. I don't remember the Saints. I forget who they were playing in the playoffs.
Was it Minnesota Vikings when you had the Kyle Rudolph in the end zone? There was one like that. Then you had Stephon Diggs.
Yes,
that's the main one.
The pass interference that just was blatantly not called.
The Saints got screwed over a couple times, and it's one of those bang plays. But it seemed to always be when they were playing against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs.
In the playoffs specifically, yes. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the golf recap from this past weekend, both the PGA Tour, the LIV Tour, and then our very own Keith Fleming's, was against the Rams. Our very own Keith Fleming's picks. He was another big victory for him. He's 2 for 2 on picking winners on those odds. So if you paid attention on Monday, you probably went home with a little bit of cash. I know Jay did some DraftKings picks while we were sitting here, and he did pretty well. So we are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Don't forget, you can watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit of golf and maybe some college softball. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Memorial Day, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida honors our local heroes. From Port St. Joe, Sergeant Clifford Sims, United States Army, made the ultimate sacrifice. While in heavy combat in Vietnam, company leader Sergeant Sims threw himself on top of an enemy explosive device in order to save the soldiers of Company D. Thank you for your service and great sacrifice. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Likely thunderstorms and some clouds this afternoon and evening with a high near 84 and a wind between 8 to 12 miles per hour. Some clouds tonight and a temperature of 74. About the same tomorrow, around 82 with some sun most of the day aside from possible thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's alive! Look alive! We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. You can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 in Mariana, all the way up through there to our friends in Southeast Georgia. I don't think that tower's probably back up yet.
No, I've been working on it.
You've been out there whittling it back up.
Yeah.
But the good news is there's there's 5 places you can watch us or listen to us streaming live. That's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Just search ESPN Northwest Florida, or you can visit ESPNPC.com, click that Listen Live button, and you can also search in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, and download our free mobile app, which you can listen to live at any time. If you want to sponsor the Inside Drive, please feel free to reach out to me over there at Bay Point, or you can give me a shout on my cell phone. That's area code 843-254-8215. Still got that good old low country of South Carolina area code for sure. It's funny how nowadays you get a cell phone a long time ago, and there's just really no point to change your number.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's wild. It's wild just to think about how long I've had the number that I've had and how you had yours for probably going on, 2 decades now?
Yeah, almost 20 years to the day.
That's awesome.
The same number. Cell phones have been around for a while, I guess, now. But had some great golf action this weekend. If you don't tune in on Wednesdays at 12 p.m., you need to. Keith Fleming joins us. He's a regular contributor. He's a host of 2 Off the Tee, which I believe me and Jay might join their podcast tomorrow afternoon as well. So I've done it once before the Masters, so I'd love to jump in there again because it is PGA Championship week this week, so we'll be diving into that big time on Wednesday.
How much luster does that lose not having Tiger in it? I mean, don't you think that the PGA Tour now is at a place where, they don't necessarily, and maybe they have been, you follow it a lot more closely than I do, but where, Tiger's a great draw, but they've got a lot of star power there now, and I think that it's helped a lot with the split off from the LIV Tour because a lot of your traditional or your PGA Tour purist followed their guys now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously having Tiger around in any tournament is going to be huge for your ratings and the media and your ticket sales. But I think golf is in such a good place right now, especially on the PGA Tour, with the Scotty Schefflers, the John Rahms, all these guys who are just killing it out there right now. And then even the LIV Tour. I mean, I watched a little bit of that excitement. I mean, I know I kind of walk both bounds. There's a lot of people that just don't like the LIV Tour for what it stands for, which I completely understand. But anytime you've got guys and gals on the TV on Sunday afternoon with some excitement and some playoffs and some things happening, it's definitely good for our sport. But
shout out, have fun, man.
Oh,
have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of having fun, Jason Day got his first tour win in 5 years yesterday, which is pretty dang impressive and heating up just as we go into this PGA Championship up there at Oak Hill. And big shout out to Keith. He had a couple guys that he picked to win, and he talked a lot about Jason Day last Wednesday. Him and K.H. Lee were his two picks to win. He had Seamus Powers, Brandon Wu, and Nate Lashley as well. But Jason Day was 14-1, ended up shooting a little 62 yesterday in the final round to win by a stroke. But like Keith was saying last Wednesday, the AT&T Byron Nelson Classic at TPC Craig Ranch, I think it's the third year it's been at TPC Craig Ranch, maybe 4. Just an easier golf course. Not a lot of trouble, pretty open for the most part, and these guys tore it up. You tell me you're going to shoot 18 under for 4 rounds, you're going to be tied 11th before you tee off. That's pretty crazy. I don't expect these numbers to continue over to the PGA Championship. But again, big shout out to Jason Day for winning the it's the AT&T, it used to be the HCP, the AT&T Byron Nelson Classic, and he said some really cool stuff after he won that tournament, and it was on Mother's Day as well. But his wife, Ellie, she never gave up on him, trying to get him back in the winner's circle. He was ready to call it quits at one point. He was dealing with the vertigo, dealing with a lot of issues and all that stuff, but she kept pushing him to do better, and guess what? He won another tournament. He's been having a great year, so good to see Jason Day winning some tournaments again. And being up there. Big kudos as well to Vincent Norman, who's a former FSU alumni. This is either his rookie season or his second season on the PGA Tour, and he finished top 10, so big tournament for him yesterday. Shot a little 66 to finish up, but 4 rounds in the 60s by Vincent, 68, 66, 65, and 66. And then one of Keith's big picks, I don't want to give away his content for Wednesday, but he's real high on Adam Scott right now, and I think Adam Scott's a pretty heavy, not underdog. You can't really say that in golf because everybody's competing against each other. But I want to say he's like probably 40 or 50 to 1 to win, maybe a little less than that.
I like those 30. Kind of numbers, man. Yeah. Those are those. Hey, well, I'll throw $2 on to see where it goes.
That's right. That's right. If you can get those for that kind of pricing, that's where it's all about. A couple of our guys were looking to top 10, but some of his DraftKings picks, he had Jason Day, K.H. Lee, Adam Scott, Matt Kuchar, Seamus Power, Jaeger, Brandon Wu, Ben Griffin, who's the only one out of all his DraftKings plays to not make the cut. And his DraftKings plays were 23 under. That was Jason Day winning. K.H. Lee was minus 11. So he, minus 11 is still a strong tournament,
I'll
but
take it.
Finished outside, I think minus 11, finished outside the top 50. No, actually got you tied for 50th, but still made the cut. Adam Scott was minus 19. Kuchar was minus 11. Seamus Power was 16. Stefan Jaeger was minus 18. Brandon Wu was minus 15. Eric Cole and Nate Lashley were also 15 under as well. So really good DraftKings plays that really paid off well if you listened on this past Wednesday.
Does it help or hurt more in the long term of things? And this is more of a silly question, but I mean, you shoot 4 rounds consecutive in the 60s, and then you go to that next tournament and your Thursday, you're +4 or something, shooting at 76. Where do you go mentally after that?
I think it depends on the player, but it also depends a lot on what tournament and the golf course it is. So that the perfect example that you say that, because they're going from arguably one of the easier tour stops where they just were at TPC Craig Ranch to going up to Oak Hill Country Club to play the PGA Championship up there in Rochester, New York. If you've seen anything on that golf course, the rough is super long, super thick, tight fairways, greens will be rolling real fast. The only thing is that they've been getting a lot of rain up there, so it's going to be a little bit softer, which you would think would really benefit the guys who hit it a long way, but also hit it very accurately. We'll talk a lot more about that on Wednesday at 12 p.m. our time when we have Keith Fleming join us, as he is a weekly contributor. He's a writer for Fantasy Six-Pack, director of daily sports content for Fantasy and Frames, and you can check him out at Keith Fleming on Twitter. And then tomorrow, I think Jay and myself, I don't know, but I'm assuming Jay is too, will be joining their 2 Off the Tee podcast with him and Alan Sandidge calls in all the time with us. Do got to give a shout out to my man Dustin Johnson, even though for all you Live Tour haters out there, it was a pretty exciting finish yesterday. I caught a little bit. I will say, being on the CW is kind of funny. If they just would broadcast it in HD, it might be a different story.
Do you have an antenna running it, or
no? It's on DirecTV.
So, all right.
But I'm switching soon.
So I've got one of those just little things that you plug into the coax, and you have the standard definition and you have the HD definition. So yeah, and it took me a while to kind of figure that out, but eventually, I was like, man, this looks a lot better in high definition. I love the fact how the Live Tour is just it seems like if I had to pick which event I'm going to outside of one of the majors or so, you know what I mean? Like it's like, well, that seems like like the crowd's having a lot of fun out there, whereas the PGA Tour, it's golf claps.
Definitely. Which you're seeing a little bit more on the tour with some excitement, but like the Ryder Cup and stuff like that. But yeah, the Live Tour is exciting. You had 3 guys finish tied 17 under: Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, and Brendan Grace. One of my a buddy I know too who works, he's the general manager up there at the Troubadour Golf Club just outside of Nashville, Johan Koch. I want to get him on the show one time. He's from South Africa. He's now general manager. He works for Discovery Land Company, but he's good buddies with Ernie and Brandon Grace and all these guys, and he's got some cool thoughts on the Live Tour. He played on the European Tour for 5 years, and he's qualified for the PGA Championship several times. So really good golfer, but I want to get him on the line at some point to talk a little bit of his thoughts, somebody who's kind of in that mix on the Live Tour. But I don't know if you saw, DJ made it. He had to make about a 15-foot putt on his last hole, which was the 18th hole. They do the shotgun start to get to 17 under to tie and force a playoff. And he had made a triple bogey earlier in that round. He shot 7 under the first 2 rounds, a pair of 64s, I believe, and then only shot -3 in the final round. But he had a triple bogey on his card. So goes on to be in the playoff, which is pretty cool. It was pretty exciting. Anytime you have a playoff, it's exciting. And he ended up, Brandon Grace, and Cam Smith all hit one on 18 again, virtually in the same spot. Brandon Grace had to putt first. He missed his putt. DJ putt second, knocks it in the hole from about another 18 feet, just straight in the jar. And you just kind of knew it was going in. And then Cam Smith had a chance to tie, to force an extra playoff hole, and just kind of pushed it a little bit and left it outright. So Dustin Johnson won his second Live Tour event, bringing home another cool $4 million in prize money, which is pretty good stuff. I mean, and for guys like Dustin, I mean, they obviously got a bunch of money to come over to the Live Tour, but there's a lot of guys that didn't come over that way either. And when they win a tournament like this, that's certainly game-changing for those kind of things. And then a tight team competition at the end. Here's where I like the Live Tour, because you've got the team competition going on at the same time. So there's 4 guys on each team, and every one of those putt makes a huge difference. Yeah. I mean, you saw Brandon Grace make a huge birdie putt to give the Stinger Golf Club a 1-stroke victory, bringing home $5 million split between the 4 players, and then the Aces, which is Dustin's team. They ended up finishing in second, with Dustin Johnson leading the way at 17 under par. So I love the team aspect of it, because it's kind of like college golf. You know, every shot is going to matter with that team competition. And if you got to stay focused at all times. And even, if Dustin doesn't make that triple bogey, maybe the Aces win, and then he wins, what's that divided by? 1.25 million plus another 4, which I think the last time he won, the team also won. So, bringing home 5.25 million from 3 days worth of work is not too bad. I think that's where a lot of people have the issue.
I wanted to ask you about that, but first, if you're the Live Tour, if you're anyone involved with the Live Tour here after these last, I believe it was 2 tournaments, which I think in the last one you had a playoff there as well, but you almost had the team playoff, which I've yet to see, but I cannot wait to. But does it get any better than having your face of your franchise, if you will, and Dustin Johnson, and then a guy who you got in the middle of the season last year in Cam Smith? Does it get better than having that, when it's not just their names playing, they're playing up there for the win in playoff holes? I don't know if it gets better, and you've got to be excited if you're a Live fan or if you're Greg Norman or any of those guys.
Yeah, or if you're just a golf fan in general and you don't draw that line. line in the proverbial Saudi sand. But it's good to see. I mean, that's why they brought him over, guys like Cam Smith and Dustin Johnson. They want them to be there when that comes to that final round, because that's obviously going to, it's going to draw ratings and all that good stuff. But again, we're going to pivot to the PGA Championship later this week when we talk to Keith on Wednesday. The NCAA men's regionals are underway all over the country with several regional sites. So you got 6 regional sites, 5 teams from each, yes, this is region. I got confused with the ladies. Yes, so Florida State, Trey Jones and our FSU men's golf buddies are off to a great start. They're 4 under par as a team through their first 4 to 7 holes. These tournaments, this is the one out in California at the Institute Golf Club, which is like this mysterious golf course that no one's ever played, and it's ultra high end and private. And the Fry's guys, the Fry.com guys, are kind of built this golf course. They do like 12 rounds a day, which probably benefits, I would say, Florida State, because they're used to playing on a very, very good, difficult golf course. And probably the first time they seen it was a practice round they played this past weekend.
Really?
So good luck to Florida State as they are off and running. Mississippi State is second currently in that regional at -3. So Brian, if you're listening, hopefully the Bulldogs can have a good run and make it to the national championship. They're going to take 5 teams from each of these 6 regionals. You've got the regional going on in Salem, North Carolina. You've got the Norman, Oklahoma regional, the Morgan Hill regional, which is the one out there at the Institute Golf Club. You've got the Las Vegas regional, and then you've got the NCAA Bath regional. I need to find out where that one is. And then you've got Auburn hosting a regional just up the road. Eagle Eye Golf, Bath, Michigan, and Georgia. Georgia's off to a really good start in that one. -17 as a team for the 4 scores through holes 12 and 15. They've got 2 guys at 5 under, 1 guy at 4 under, and 1 guy at 3 under. So then the 2 guys that are at 5 under are currently leading that particular regional on an individual standpoint.
College golf is so cool, man. I remember when you were out there at Water Sound and I got to come out for, I believe it was the some type of ACC
it was
tournament.
Well, it was at the time it was called the Camp Creek Seminole Invitational, which was a tournament that Trey Jones kind of came to me. We're like, all right, we want to make this happen. And it's still continuing on now, which is awesome. But yeah, that was some high level golf there.
Yeah, just being able to watch those guys, because they're competing not only for their team, but also for their career, and that was a lot of fun watching those guys. And you talk about, you go to the range where it's just average Joes, like not Ryan here, not Jay, but average, but your regular people like me, and you don't really notice that difference. Then you hear them and you hear their golf shots, and it's like thwack, and you're like, okay, and that's the difference. It's like being in the batting cage and Ken Griffey's in the stall next to you, and you're like, okay, there's a big difference in the way that we
solid contact on that club face, both in baseball and golf, when you're squaring it up and just catching it with a lot of power. It does. You're right. It does sound completely different. And if you've never had an opportunity to go out and watch a collegiate event, either boys or girls, doesn't matter, that sound that they're making at the impact of the golf ball is the difference between us and them. That's for darn sure. But again, kudos to Florida State. Off to a good start. We'll be keeping an eye on them for the next 3 days as they are trying to also head back to Greyhawk Golf Club out there in Scottsdale, Arizona. But yeah, good luck to all the Florida State Seminoles, as we love to pull for Trey Jones and our neighbors just down the road over there in Tallahassee. When we get back, we are definitely going to talk about some softball. Got to touch on South Oak Title and Closing. Don't forget about South Oak Title and Closing, one of our great sponsors here on the Inside Drive. If you're looking for a title agency you got to close. If you're buying real estate in Florida, it's not attorneys like a lot of other places in the state. Or in the country, you have to have a title agency. South Oak Title and Closing is the best of the best in this area. One location right there by the Pancakery and PCB over there in 30A Destin, as well as Lynn Haven. Give them a call. Chuck Tucker does a wonderful job with his whole crew out there at South Oak Title and Closing. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can find them over on 23rd Street. Doesn't really take much to find them. You just start heading eastbound down 23rd Street.
Eastbound and down, baby.
You'll see it right there on the right side. I saw a lot of boats out there on the the water this past weekend, and I guarantee if they need any service, the quickest place to go to is the Kramer Marine and Outdoor Dealership, as they are a Yamaha outboard full-line dealer, Yamaha Master Certified Mechanics, and they sell Seabourn, Spider, and Sundance boats, which are all CRI boats. They've got tons of vehicles in stock, more than they've had in several years, and the good news is trading values are still high. So I know new car prices are expensive, but if you get a lot of value for your car, it's about the same thing as it was. One of the cool things they do over there is they sell tires to you at cost, which is a cool perk, because a lot of places you go to, if you're buying tires, they're going to be pretty darn expensive, and unfortunately you got to get new tires every once in a while.
And keep them rotated.
There you go. You don't want all that vibration on the road. But joined by David Hayes, the host of the Afternoon Underdogs. He's filling in for Jay Hanley this morning. Jay had to head up to Atlanta for a little funeral, but we'll see him back in studio tomorrow. Jay, safe travels back down, and sorry to hear about things for sure. When we do get back, we are going to be talking about the NCAA softball championships that get underway here real soon with the regional tournament. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
That ball is going to be out of here.
America's team plays here.
Bombs away.
The Atlanta Braves are back and making statements.
Ronald Acuna just clobbered one to left.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball in a rich audio experience live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Here comes the thunder.
Sponsored by Bilberg Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Control.
Are you thinking of doing a fundraiser? Well, Krispy Kreme Donuts next to HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan says, let's raise some dough. Earn up to 50% profit with a Krispy Kreme fundraiser in-shop or online. So let's raise some dough. At Krispy Kreme Donuts next to HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. The SUV family has movement that inspires, and we invite you to test drive the new 2023 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. You can command the road in a sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2023 Rio, Forte, K5, or Stinger, and discover the all-new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. Peace of mind you can trust at your local community dealer, Bill Bird Kia.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
The only place to get sports betting coverage on the radio. Is this legal? Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. It's the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Yeah, welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget you can watch us live or watch us after the fact on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Just search ESPN Northwest Florida. Make sure you give each one of those pages a follow or a subscribe. You can always listen to us live on ESPNPC.com, or you can take your phone with you anywhere you go and download our free mobile app. Just search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. David, we're going to talk a little bit about softball.
I love it.
And I know we've got one softball team from our area still left. We talked about it at the top of the hour, but the Arnold Marlins girls softball team continues their state championship bid tomorrow while they're playing Wakulla.
Oh, let's go Marlins, man!
Come on, we gotta keep somebody going. I know we got Chipley still in the mix as they beat was it Bozeman this past Saturday? Yeah, Chipley beat Bozeman. So, but good luck to the Arnold Lady Marlins. All right, let's jump in it and talk about our conference championship winners. Automatic bids when you win your conference tournament. So pretty proud of the FSU Seminoles, who got another, I think it's I know it's back-to-back, but it might be a couple more times than that. They won the ACC softball conference championship, so they got an automatic bid into it. We'll jump into all the regional sites here in just a moment. And then Big Ten, Northwestern got the victory. So good to see them getting an automatic bid in there. Pac-12, you saw Utah win their tournament championship, and then SEC, not completely surprising, but
I think the more surprising fact was who the champion was playing.
Yes, and David, tell us who Tennessee beat in that championship game.
South Carolina, man, and they just had a heck of a run. I believe they were the 10th seed there in the SEC, and then each day you're like, oh wow, they just took down Texas A&M. Oh wow, in the semifinals they take down Auburn. Come from behind. At that, we were on the line with Courtney Mims at the time, and it goes to the top of the 7th, and it's like, whoa,
it's a walk-off. Right?
Yeah, well, I don't believe so, because I think Auburn was the home team there. So they did take the lead there in the top of the 7th and held on to it. So very surprising stuff from them. And I believe 12 teams out of the SEC going to make up 12 of these seeds here in the Division I softball championship. So let's go SEC. Let's go Florida State. I mean, there's so many teams. And this sport is, because of the pace of it, it's fast paced, and these athletes are just out of their mind amazing. This is, to me, one of, if not the best. I love March Madness to death. I love the college football playoff. But when you can get all day games like what you get in the world of college softball, I don't think you can beat it very easily.
Well, it's beautiful. We were talking before. It's this time of year. I mean, you got the NBA and the NHL, and of course you've got Major League Baseball going on. But you've got some of the most exciting sports in college sports going on, with both the softball tournament as well as the baseball tournament coming up here, and I think the conference tournaments are this next week coming up. But we're talking off the air about Oklahoma as well. You know, they won their conference tournament again against Texas.
Yep.
And both of those teams are coming over to the SEC here pretty shortly, and that's just going to make the SEC even more ridiculous in the baseball or the softball side of things.
Yeah, the SEC is already a gauntlet as it is, and now you're going to take the two best teams from the Big 12, and they're coming over to the SEC. Oklahoma back-to-back champions here, and they're getting the number 1 seed after losing the best player in college softball, Jocelyn Allo. So you talk about reloading. You know, that's what Oklahoma just does continuously. And then to come to the SEC, it's going to be so tough for teams to come out of there. I mean, how do you get 14 teams to come out of a 16-team conference? I don't know if that's even a possibility, but we'll see how it all plays out, man. There's just so many good programs, and they're also, they also have the benefit of 365 days a year.
Yep.
They can play softball here. Whereas you go up to, Michigan and your Ohio States and your Big 12, those schools don't, they don't get as much of the opportunity unless they're playing in tournaments down here in the southeastern areas of the West over there.
Well, so you got Oklahoma came out of the Big 12, and all the conference tournament champions got an automatic bid into the NCAA regionals, which will get kicked off this Friday the 19th.
Yeah, the 19th.
It'll run through the 21st, and you'll have the one team moving out of each regional to the super regionals, and then eventually to the College World Series. We'll jump in with the first regional. That's going to be over there in Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the number 1 overall seed in the regional tournament. They're going to have California, Hofstra, and another SEC team. Not another, they will be an SEC team eventually. Missouri in that particular bracket, part of the regionals. And with the NCAA regionals, what they do is it's a double elimination, and then once you eliminate all the teams, you move on. So that's where you have all the multiple games going on.
Yeah, you'd like to see what Cal, Missouri can throw at Oklahoma. Don't know much about Hofstra, but I mean, when a team has went through their whole entire regular season and only accumulated 1 loss, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely see
Now,
Oklahoma.
if it was hockey, if it was Hofstra versus Oklahoma, it might be a different story for sure, considering one probably doesn't have a hockey team. But yeah, one loss. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, we were talking to one of my groups the other day, and one of my friends is a Carolina Hurricanes fan. Sorry about that, Ryan. But so he said, "Let's go Canes," and my buddy Terry was like, "What sport are we talking about right now?" And we said hockey. He said, "Oh, I didn't know Miami had a college hockey team." I'm like, "Oh man, that would be wild though," because I think some of these teams do have those intramural teams.
Yes.
Like that's awesome.
What's come about since I left Coastal Carolina University is now they have club hockey teams.
Nice.
Which was something that didn't exist back then. And I think there's multiple divisions, and I want to say Coastal's either in like Division 2 or Division 3 for club hockey. And they won back-to-back club hockey national championships.
Let's go. I mean, Coastal Carolina, dude, like for the size of what they are, just man, if it was like a per capita type, you know what I mean? Poll in Coastal Carolina would be up there with the best of them.
That's right. Don't forget the 2016 national champions.
No doubt.
All right, moving on to the next one. You've got Clemson hosting Cal State, Fullerton, Auburn, and UNC Greensboro. I think Auburn's a legitimate threat to Clemson in this particular bracket, this regional pool. Clemson, though, is looking pretty good. They'll start off with UNC Greensboro. Auburn will play Cal State, Fullerton, and then they'll move through the little bracket with the double elimination. So another SEC team in there, and big ACC Clemson, even though Florida State seems to have Clemson's number in softball. Next, you've got the number 9 national seed Stanford in the same bracket as Florida, Long Beach State, as well as Lamar University. And Florida, I believe, I forget her name, had the ACC Player of the Year, or excuse me, SEC Player of the Year on their team. I forget her particular name, but congratulations to that. So that should be a pretty, that's an interesting regional. You've got a Pac-12, you've got an SEC. I'm not sure what, I'm going to assume that Long Beach State is either in the, maybe the Big West, Mountain West? I don't know.
They're out in the West. Skylar Wallace is the name of the shortstop from Florida who won the SEC Player of the Year.
There you go. Congratulations to Skylar on winning that awesome award. My dad, he went to University of California at Santa Barbara, and I just know the Big West just because of that, the Gauchos.
There you go, the Gauchos.
Who do have a good baseball team, and they've made some noise in recent times.
And that's, I mean, you brought up Cal State Fullerton, and I've always known them for their baseball, but
side,
they could do it in softball as well. So we'll see how all of that plays out for Cal State Fullerton.
And then you've got Duke, another ACC team. Seems to be ACC and SEC are kind of driving this, it seems like, with some Big 12 in there too. But you've got Duke is with Campbell. We talked about the Campbells last week.
Bowie's, North Carolina, or Bowie's Creek, something
That's
like
right, Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. Somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. Who's also got Charlotte and George Mason in their regional. Very eclectic regional there with different universities.
I always pull for George Mason anytime I see them in any type of national standing.
When they made that run in the Final Four, that was pretty crazy. And the guy worked for me in New Jersey, and then on my way down to South Carolina, I actually stopped by at George Mason. He was one of our caddies at the club in New Jersey, and he was going to George Mason. I got to see that campus.
Was it beautiful?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful spot there in Virginia. Then here you go. You got the Alabama Crimson Tide hosting LIU. David, you're going to have to help me on that one.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
LIU, Middle Tennessee, and Central Arkansas. LIU, we're going to find out exactly what that particular one. It looks like it's a shark.
Long Island
University.
Long Island University.
Yeah.
Again, probably a good hockey team, but apparently good softball teams as well.
We'll see how they play out. Yeah, like you said, probably a good hockey team, but Middle Tennessee always brings it. And we'll have to see. I mean, that record of 44-10 for Central Arkansas could prove to be something that they could use for momentum.
Alan just texted. He said George Mason's full of a bunch of bums. Maybe that's why I stopped by. But interesting group of 4 there for Alabama with Long Island University, Central Arkansas, and then the Blue Hens at Middle Tennessee, who, like you said, good program, could really and depending on what Montana Fouts' situation is,
that's going to prove to be, that can you get by without your ace in Montana Fouts, and that's just. it's an unanswerable question at this point in time. But in softball, we always talk about the aces in baseball. Well, an ace in softball, to me, in my opinion, means 10 times more to the program there. So we'll see how it plays out. And Alabama's kept it very close to the vest on what she's dealing with. Seems to be some type of injury to the lower extremity. So we'll see how that plays out. Luckily, she's got a few days to try to get that healed up.
Yeah, she got till Friday if she's going to be that starter in that first game. But yeah, she's absolute rock star. She's won a couple gold medals, maybe at least one gold medal with Team USA. David's got his laptop. That's why I keep putting him on the spot here.
Researcher, man, it takes me back to the days when I first got started with the Coach's Daughter Show and Leanne Swartzentruber, man. I love doing research.
I hope she's doing well. I hadn't talked to her in a long time. Yeah. Hope she's doing well, doing a good job with real estate for sure.
She had her first Mother's Day as a grandmama yesterday.
Oh, nice. That's right. That's right.
Baby Miller.
Man, time is flying. Anyway, after Alabama, you got the number 12 national seed from the Big Ten, Northwestern, who's also got SEC Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, as well as Eastern Illinois, where Jimmy G played football.
I like Northwestern to come out of this. I mean, again, we'll put a caveat with any team that's got an SEC team in their bracket, but I like Northwestern to put on for the Big Ten in this situation.
And then speaking of powerhouses, the number 13 national seed, Texas, is hosting the Seton Hall Pirates, Texas A&M, as well as Texas State. There you go. You got a little Texas A&M, Texas rivalry action happening, which they won't meet potentially until the second game as Texas takes on Seton Hall and Texas State takes on Texas A&M. That is a Texas-heavy regional, that's for sure.
There could be some fireworks in that one, man.
Yeah, that's a future rivalry in softball, football, and all. It used to be a big-time rivalry, but they just haven't played very much recently. And then moving down to the SEC tournament champions, the Tennessee Volunteers, in the same regional as Louisville, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky.
It's like the bluegrass bracket right here.
It's just all right there, kind of that middle part of the country. I like Tennessee coming out of that one for sure.
Yeah, I like that as well.
And then moving on to the other side, the number 3 national seed are Florida State Seminoles just down the road over there in Tallahassee with Marist University, UCF, and South Carolina. South Carolina, like you said, made a lot of waves in the SEC Conference Championship tournament where they lost to Tennessee in the final. So no guarantees, I think, there for Florida State if South Carolina can kind of keep that momentum going.
Yeah, that's going to prove to be the toughest part. Can you keep the momentum rolling? And then also having a team there in your state and UCF that could also provide some fireworks there. But I love Florida State to go very deep, if not win the whole thing. They're just one of the most fun teams, one of the most fun programs to watch.
Well, and you can get over there to Tallahassee as they are hosting this regional. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, that'd be an awesome trip to go over there and watch this regional tournament.
No doubt.
That'd be good stuff. Just down the road, go support those Lady Noles. And then you've got Jay's Georgia Bulldogs, another SEC team hosting a regional up there in Athens. They've got Boston University, Virginia Tech, and NC Central in their particular regional.
I like Georgia to walk away with this, but hey, Virginia Tech, I mean, another one of those programs who kind of caught fire late. We'll see how it plays out for them.
And so, like you said, it's about who's hot. I mean, it's just like, professional baseball. I mean, you see so many teams get into the playoffs and they just catch fire right at the end. And I think, Oklahoma is going to be the team to beat, no doubt. But if one of these other teams can go on a run, we'll finish up with the rest of these NCAA regional brackets here when we return back. You are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Thursday is Kramer Day, and we're looking forward to Thursday again. Coming up at 12:20 this afternoon, we'll be joined by Amy Bond, the FSU women's golf coach, to preview the NCAA National Championship, which they will be heading out towards too soon. Don't forget, you can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in the Forgotten Coast, and 102.1 in Mariana, all the way up to Dothan. Don't forget, we are also the home for your Atlanta Braves, which we'll talk maybe a little bit if we got some time about the Atlanta Braves later, who are coming off 4 losses as well as getting swept this past last weekend by the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like it had to happen at some point. But ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the Atlanta Braves, and we've got a game tonight. They'll be playing at the Texas Rangers. Coverage starts at 6 p.m. First pitch will be 7:05. We'll be right back talking more college softball. You're listening to the Inside Drive live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
Did the owner of the Phoenix Suns actually come out and say, don't suspend Nikola Jokic? How'd you like to be DeAndre Ayton when he saw that statement? This guy just scored 51 on me in a loss. I can't even fathom what's going to happen now. They should have been lobbying with every ounce of their energy to get him suspended.
Greeny. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Likely thunderstorms and some clouds this afternoon and evening with a high near 84 and a wind between 8 to 12 miles per hour. Some clouds tonight and a temperature of 74. About the same tomorrow, around 82 with some sun most of the day aside from possible thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
At Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, you can find all the necessary items for an unforgettable fishing experience. From pin rods and reels to the best hand-tied rigs in Florida, we have it all. With the help of our friendly and knowledgeable staff, you can be sure that you have the right gear to make that big catch. Come experience a great local bait and tackle shop located directly off 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach, located just 5 miles west of Pier Park.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe, Power by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. The locals love him.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. It is that time in the show which we switch from the morning to the afternoon here in the Florida Panhandle. Just another beautiful day out there in Panama City Beach. I know we got some golfers out there this afternoon, but don't forget all of our locals in our listening area. If you have if you have a driver's license from Bay County or any of the 5 surrounding counties, you are eligible for our quarterly local players pass, which is a great opportunity to come out and play golf at Bay Point for a little bit less than it would if you just came off the street. We do that once a quarter. You pay a registration fee and you get a free round of golf, and then you get to play for reduced rounds. We also do that for anybody who has an active military ID as well. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can find them over on 23rd Street, both the Chevy dealership as well as Kramer Marine and Outdoor. Or if you hear that beautiful commercial in Chris Kramer's voice every Thursday, he is in studio with us. You're tired of waiting to hear 2 weeks to get your boat serviced and back out on the water? Well, go visit Kramer Marine and Outdoor. Their Yamaha Master Certified mechanics can get you back out on the water quickly, because that is what it's all about this time of year. It's about to be summertime down here in Panama City Beach, so you got to make sure your boat is ready to get that out there on the water. Don't let those mishaps keep you off from doing it. We'll be joined this next segment by Amy Bond. She's the FSU women's golf coach. She'll be talking about their bid to head back to the national championship. But we'll jump right back into it. We were rounding out the regionals for the NCAA softball tournament. We just spoke about Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, saw this little fun fact this morning. Jalen Hurts just got his master's degree from Oklahoma. And where are we going? Mr.
Cardell Jones, let's go.
Yep, Mr. Stetson Bennett, 6 years at Georgia, no degree.
That's That's wild, man. Van Wilder, esque right
Very
there.
Van Wilder-esque.
And then
slinging the rock around, winning back-to-back national championships. Not worried about that.
6 years? Because you mentioned Jalen Hurts.
How do you stay eligible for 6 years without, like, I guess if you're enrolled, your minimum credits or whatever it may be, but
you got a good tutor over there somewhere, I'm sure, as well.
Tutor, quote unquote. But yeah, congrats to Jalen Hurts for getting his master's degree.
Yeah.
Graduated, and now he got his master's degree while trying to win Super Bowls playing with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Stetson Bennett, 6 years at Georgia, and he can't even get a degree.
Do you think, is Stetson Bennett, so he's with the Rams now, do you think that he goes back and gets it, or is he just a football guy and he'll finish out his football career and then get back into the postal van and be the mailman again?
Hey, that's a great quote. You see a lot of athletes do that too, which is awesome. They go back, they finish their college, they get going in the NFL or any other professional sport, and they go back and finish their degree because, let's face it, that's why, quote unquote, they're at college is to get a degree. Obviously, winning national championships probably trumps that for a lot of people, but hopefully maybe Stetson Bennett will go back.
Well, it also does a lot for the university as well, because now they're in your Ring of Honor or whatever it is that your school does. So you having those famous alumni definitely helps your university.
And I'd love to ask Coach Hale, do you get to still claim Jalen Hurts or not? Now he's got his degree and his master's degree from Oklahoma. Did he get his degree from Alabama?
I don't quote me on it. I think he got the degree from Alabama and then but I mean, which one do you hold to a higher regard there, the master's or your regular degree? So I don't know, man. For me, whenever it comes down to that discussion, is whoever he wants to claim is fine by me. He had a heck of a career over there at Alabama and a heck of a career at Oklahoma. And you know, if it wasn't for Alabama, though, he could have been back up there at Maryland, which isn't a knock to Coach Loxley and the Terrapins at all, but he wouldn't have gone to Oklahoma more than likely, and that really springboarded his career because he went from a guy who, hard work ethic and all of this good stuff, but he wasn't a great passer, and you really saw him turn the corner, not just at Oklahoma, but to get into the league, and it's like, oh, we really don't have a lot of faith in his arm, and now you see it just come full circle, and the dude's a freak athlete all the way around.
Well, and he did get his undergrad degree, or his bachelor's degree in communication and info sciences at Alabama. It only took him 3 years, which this isn't boding well for Bennett even more. And then obviously he got his master's degree from the University of Oklahoma. Alan's been texting, talking about, Stetson Bennett. Now he's in LA. He's a Ram. So Stetson Bennett loves to party, so he may not be getting that degree anytime soon.
He's got a good mentor over there in Stafford, so we'll see.
Yeah, another Georgia boy.
If that could calm him down some. But and also with all of the turmoil that you've seen lately with the University of Alabama, and I'm not casting any shade here or anything, but kudos to those players who don't fall to the Jalen Hurts and to your Derrick Henrys who didn't go down the path that when you get to a level of fame, and we talk about Ja Morant, it's kind of hard to keep your circle tight, and if you let that circle get out of hand, you're going to be just like the people who you hang around on a regular day basis.
That's right. Hey, Alan, thanks for calling in. You out there? Oh, I think we might have lost him.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
Give us a call back, Alan.
Yes, give us a call back. I'd love to hear your opinions on all this. But and you got a great point there, David. You see a lot of these guys. It's really who you surround yourself with, and what your motives are, and what's important to you. And I know Jalen Hurts, it was very important in getting that degree, and then of course his master's degree as well.
Cal Alberton says, "How do you not graduate from UGA? He must not have been able to color inside the lines."
That's fair. You said it, not me.
Don't shoot the messenger.
You're just reading off the internet. Yep. That's right. Don't forget, you can comment on our live stream, Facebook. Just go to ESPN Northwest Florida. Search that. I'm going to jump right back into the NCAA regionals as we talked about Georgia at length there with Mr. Stetson Bennett. But you've got Arkansas hosting another regional with Harvard, Oregon, and Notre Dame. That's going to be a tough little regional for Arkansas. I mean, Oregon's got a good program. I don't know much about Harvard on the softball side of things.
No, but do you root for Harvard in this situation because they're not normally there, or is it kind of one of those guys where it's like I'd rather the regulars win instead of the nerds?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can root for Harvard for a lot of other reasons that we won't discuss on this particular program. Ooh. But we'll jump down to another Big 12 program. Oklahoma State is hosting their regional with Nebraska, Wichita State, and University of Maryland, Baltimore College. I think that's Oklahoma State.
I think it is. It's interesting to see Wichita State here with a record of 43-10, but obviously the competition isn't going to live up to what Oklahoma State faces on a average basis here, and their record sitting at 41-14. I like the Cowboys to move on.
Yep, absolutely. We'll buy it real quick. You got Washington in the next regional, and they're with Northern Colorado, Minnesota, and McNeese State. Never know about the Moniques.
You never know about them. I'm with you there. I'll go Washington to move on here.
All right, Alan, we got you on.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I heard you guys hyping up the Georgia education system. I thought I'd call and chime in.
It was one of our listeners was commenting on the coloring in the lines and all that stuff. Can't verify if that's true or not, but he was curious why Bennett couldn't get a degree with all you had to do is just keep it in the lines.
Yeah.
They gave us Herschel Walker, man. I mean, that just says everything you need to know about the education system at the university.
Now we're blurring the line.
poor Stetson, man. Honestly, not trying to make fun of his name, but just saying he sounds like a guy that has overdue library books still.
Probably. That's why I didn't get his graduation.
Wait. Why would he have a library book?
Good point.
He likes to look at the pictures.
That's true. That's true.
I can't believe he was there for 6 years, and he got to tell people it was like a COVID thing or something. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how he had so much eligibility.
I don't think you can use COVID as an excuse for not getting it done when it gave you more time to get it done.
Virtual classes. You can just do it from the football field.
God.
I got it because you got 1 extra year of eligibility from COVID, and then he must have been redshirted early on. I mean, we can check this out. So there's probably not a whole lot of people that went 6 years at a university while playing athletics.
Yeah, not leaving empty-handed.
Yeah. He does have 2 national championship trophies.
I guess, apples to oranges there.
The best degrees come from LSU and the SEC for sure.
No doubt. LSU has handed them out, that's for sure. If you listen to the morning show on Friday, Jason Kovaleski, he'll tell you all about LSU and where a lot of that money went and all that good stuff.
Oh, man, I love those kind of theories.
I fully respect LSU, though, because they don't really hide who they are, and it seems like the entire state, local authorities, everybody's in on it. They support their university 100%.
Well, that's how you got to get it done. Everybody's got to be moving towards the same goal in that same direction.
Loyal to the soil.
And shout out to Jalen Hurts for going to Bama, not getting any legal trouble, and getting his degree.
That was before they really started diving in on the gambling and all that stuff. That's why
they gotta fix that, man.
He's got a master's degree in sports analytics.
I used to work for the state government here in Virginia, and I will openly admit I would watch horse racing and place bets, and hell, I was playing blackjack in between lunch breaks, and I never once got caught. Even when I had NCAA eligibility, we would obviously not bet on our own events. I did track and field, so there's not much going on there anyway. But we bet on basketball and stuff like that. Never got caught. I don't understand how these people keep getting caught.
Well, but it's advanced in technology and everything, and so it makes it a little bit easier for the eye in the sky to keep track of you.
But everybody has a guy. I'm broke and I got a guy.
Everybody does.
I don't understand. If you really gamble, everybody has at least one cousin that they could just reach out to place a bet. I got a cousin right now in Portsmouth, Virginia. If I text him or called him, he would go place a bet for me right now under his name. And there's nothing never to be said about it.
Except we know where he's located.
Yeah, but I've placed multiple bets at different odds because they cap us sometimes on how often we can play certain action. And I've had him go in behind me and do the same thing under his name. And I'm like, it's illegal, air quotes, but you're robbing a casino. Come on now.
Yeah.
Be for real.
They're not hurting.
I can't stand when they try to act like they've got rules. Just even in professional sports, everybody's cheating to some extent, so come on.
Yep. Yeah. I think Calvin Ridley's going to have a huge season this year.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh yeah, he's going to tear it up.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, well, we got you on the line, Alan. We got Amy Bond coming up at 12:20 our time. What do you think? The NBA Conference Championships are set. Doc Rivers is out again.
Surprise!
Surprise! I think everybody knew that Boston was going to take that one.
That was a hot mess. I was driving home, and I think it was 55-55, and I stopped, got stuck in traffic, text my mom, and looked back, it was 72-55 or something like that. Like, it got ugly quick, but Doc's out of excuses, man. And, I said that, a couple episodes ago, like, it should be over for him. He's so wasteful. It's done. But I do like the fact that the bubble is back, and all these guys get to validate that their bubble experience was legit. The Nuggets against the Lakers, and then the Heat against the Celtics.
What do you give the Heat? What kind of chances you give the Heat to win the NBA championship?
I give the Heat a puncher's chance. They got to make it ugly. You can out physical the Celtics, and honestly, looking at the stat line and watching them play, they still don't have a legitimate vocal leader. I think when everything's going good, they're a good team. But if you can get in Jaylen Brown's head, he'll take himself out the game because he won't get enough possessions. Marcus Smart will take himself out the game by overdoing it because he doesn't understand that he's not the alpha in the system. And Jason Tatum just isn't. He's not the guy that's going to rah-rah the troops and tell them, follow me. He's kind of passive himself. So it leaves you with who? Al Horford? Nobody's listening to Al Horford. So I honestly think that Jimmy and them need to be physical, need to be ugly, make it a grinding game, and slow it down for sure, and emphasize perimeter defense. If the Celtics can't hit threes, they can't win a series. I'm stamping that. I've never seen them win a series with ugly shooting.
What do you, on the other side of it, the Nuggets and the Lakers, what are you thinking in that one? You think LeBron's got a chance to win that coveted fifth ring, or you think the Nuggets continue their dominant play and end up going to the championship?
It's all about the supporting cast of the Nuggets because Jokic is going to do what he does. I think obviously having Anthony Davis guarding Jokic is a whole lot better than anybody else guarding Jokic, just with his athleticism and length. And then he can give them buckets on an equal pace, which is good too. It's what are you going to get out of Porter? What are you going to get out of Murray? What are you going to get out of Aaron Gordon? And honestly, having somebody like Aaron Gordon to help just guard LeBron in general with his size and athleticism could make it a little bit more difficult for LeBron. And they've got some versatility to match up with the Lakers as far as like keeping them out the paint. But it's just weird because Jokic isn't really a interior defender, but he's a big body, and you got to go around him. You can't go through him. So he can at least make them adjust shots and things like that. So I think it's just a matter of the role players for the Nuggets doing what they need to do. Like, they've got to show up. It can't be just the Murray and Jokic show. They need Porter and everybody else.
Well, which series, Alan, do you think comes down to the wire? Which is going to be more, which is the better series to invest in when it comes to keeping your eye on the series?
I would say the Nuggets-Lakers because Nuggets have a clear home court advantage. I don't think the altitude gets enough credit, man. Like it's not a coincidence. And I think given Anthony Davis's up and down, I would feel more confident with saying the Nuggets win their series than depending on the Heat to play the defense that's needed for 4 out of 7 games to beat the Celtics.
If you're the Nuggets on the inside, do you put as much pressure as you can? And obviously you don't want to be flailing your elbows around at Anthony Davis intentionally necessarily, but do you try to, up that ante on the pressure? You saw what happened with him in what was a Game 6 there coming out with the concussion-like symptoms. If you're the Nuggets, do you force that issue?
Yeah, I think anytime you play somebody like Anthony Davis, and this is me talking as a former athlete and in general, if you see that somebody's uncomfortable with physicality in a contact sport, you got to hit them. You got to, throw a little body into him or something like that. You don't want to be 80s, 90s version, hit him in the back of the head with an elbow. But if you're going up for a rebound and you give him an extra oomph or something like that, or if he's in the paint trying to take a charge and you just run right through him, I think that's perfectly fine. You have to challenge people in that aspect in today's game because there's so many athletes who are mentally fragile. Like any one small thing with a lot of today's athletes can take them off their entire game. That's what makes somebody like LeBron so special because we don't really see a lot of that. Like, he has his bad games, bad moments, he'll find a way. But I don't think Anthony Davis is a find-a-way player, and that's why he's not as great as he could be.
Which is just crazy to think because, kind of growing up and all that, it's how you persevere and how you bounce back and how you're taught to handle losses and all that. And then you see so many of these guys are just, so fragile and prima donna kind of folks and, be tougher. Just be tough. So, yeah, I think that's a huge factor. All right, game 1's tomorrow night. Nuggets are -5 on what I'm looking at. You taking the points with the Lakers or are you laying the 5?
I'll lay the 5. It's in Denver.
It's in Denver. LeBron's fatigue and that
5.
Altitude.
Yeah, that's going to take some adjusting, I'm sure. I'll lay the 5. And you got to think there'll be a little hangover with some of the Laker players. This is their first time getting this far. So, yeah, I'll lay the 5.
Yeah, and I think if it was flip-flopped in the first 2 games were in Los Angeles, it might be a different story. But, yeah, going to play those first 2 or does it flip if they lose that first game? I forget how the NBA works. It's 2-2.
2-2, 1-1-1-1.
Okay, just like hockey. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, Alan, we got a break coming up. We got Amy Bond coming up when we get back. We appreciate you giving us a shout. Know you wanted to chime in a little bit on that LSU stuff. And, of course, Stetson Bennett being there for 6 years was kind of kicked off this whole conversation. But we appreciate you as always, Alan. I look forward to hopefully tomorrow night on the 2 Off the Tee podcast.
Yeah, man, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alan. That's Alan Sandage. She is a expert in all things gambling, and we appreciate his insight every time he calls. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. When we get back, we're going to be talking to Coach Amy Bond, the FSU women's golf coach, as they are getting ready to travel out west to Scottsdale, Arizona to compete in the national championship for women's golf. You're listening to the Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Carl.
Mustard. Just a little.
Mashed taters.
Tell me what movie we're talking about.
Sling Blade.
Sling Blade, man. You know, you
also knows the James Hale story.
Get out to B4 Braves. Have a great meal day. Is that what I did? You really screwed my commercials up. Thank you so much.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Likely thunderstorms and some clouds the rest of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 84. We will have some clouds tonight and be warm at 74. And partly sunny most of the day except a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening tomorrow and a high 82. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Get your mother a beautiful color gemstone ring that will be cherished and worn for a lifetime from Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves. And just in time, Tracy's Fine Jewelry is offering our entire selection of color gemstone jewelry, rings, pendants, earrings, and bracelets at 50% off. That's right, 50% off our everyday low price. The largest selection and the lowest prices are just some of the reasons why people choose Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves for the perfect gift for any occasion.
If it's Western wear for the whole family you're looking for, there's only one place to shop, that boot store. The selections are huge and many of your favorite name brands at affordable prices are available. Want the finest in work clothes? Famous Carhartt work clothes are available too. Open Tuesday through Thursday 9 till 5 and Friday and Saturday 9 a.m. till 5:30. Next to Kia 15th Street, Panama City. Remember what Joe always said, keep Jesus in your life every day.
for starting fresh.
Fresh new start.
Locally sourced, Farm to Radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can listen on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, 102.1 up there in Mariana, heading up to Dothan and Southwest Georgia as well. Don't forget you can watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to visit us at espnpc.com. Click that Listen Live button or download our free mobile app. Just search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida inside the Google Play or Apple Store. Now we are joined on the line by the FSU women's golf coach, Miss Amy Bond. Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for coming back on the show so quickly. I know it's we had you on our first inaugural show 2 weeks ago today, so we appreciate you jumping back on. Y'all are getting ready to head out there to Grayhawk again. How many years in a row is this for the national championship that y'all been headed to?
This is year number 7 in a row, so it's certainly a blessing, and we're happy to be there. But yeah. 7 years in a row is pretty special.
That's pretty special indeed. And this year is, I wouldn't say a little tougher to get out there, but, you know, when we talked a couple weeks ago, you mentioned you're trying to take care of business and handle it so you're not having to worry about what other teams are doing. And y'all found yourself in a little bit different position in that NCAA regional, needing a couple of teams to kind of not fold down the stretch, but not do as well down the stretch as you would typically want somebody to do.
Yeah, it was much more stressful.
I can imagine.
That week's stressful in general, but we made it a little more stressful than it needed to be. But, those finishing holes in Raleigh were pretty tough, playing pretty tough that day. So we had a couple hiccups coming in, but ultimately we got in that 5th spot. And, we were prepping for a playoff, and I am so thankful we didn't have to get to that. To finish ahead of Arizona State, and Purdue, but I'm just now getting over it. I really am. I was high stress for a couple days.
I can imagine. Every shot, like we talk about, every shot matters, and boy, did it matter going into that for that 5th spot. Just real quick, if it would have went to a playoff, would that have been all 10 players playing, counting the 4 best on each hole? Is that how it would have worked?
It would have been all 10 players and all 5 count.
Oh man! So each person. Wow.
Yeah. It really tests your entire squad. And for us, I was trying to explain to them because it's a new rule with the 5. It used to be 4. You counted your 4 best, but now it's gone to 5. I think to kind of help the playoffs move along. So we would have started on hole number 1. We would have played hole 1 in a threesome and a twosome. So 3 of ours or 3 of theirs with 2 or 3 of ours. They'd go finish. We'd bring the next group through, and then you stop and evaluate at the end of 1. And if you're still tied, you go to 8.
Man.
So I'm thankful we didn't have to get there because I think I already aged about 10 years, but that would have certainly put me in a quick trip to the nursing home.
Well, makes this 7th straight trip to the national championship maybe that much sweeter that y'all found a way to get it done and make it back to Grayhawk. Is this the 3rd straight year at Grayhawk?
3rd straight year at Grayhawk. Beautiful golf course out in the desert. Good golf course that separates the field. So I think local knowledge and the fact that we have 3 of our 6 that have actually played it for this will be their 3rd time there, I think is a huge positive.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question. How much does experience help with your team that have been to this tournament before, especially when you got a couple freshmen, Lottie, and I don't know if Catherine's on your 5 that are going. Does it just the top 5 go, or do a couple others get to go as well?
We're going to take 6. So we've got our senior, Amelia Williamson, our juniors, Charlotte Heath, Alice Hodge, our two sophomores, Kayla Williams and Madison Hewlett. Those will be our 6. But it's helpful. I said it last time we were on the show. I think us going and having played in Raleigh before was helpful. And I definitely think that having played Greyhawk for the last 2 years is good because it's a great golf course. It's a tight golf course. But getting your sight lines down in the desert, because all you see is desert out there. But there's plenty of green grass if you get your sight lines right to aim at. And so I think that's huge. And we have good memories there. We finished 9th 2 years ago when we finished 5th last year. So having those good memories and having players who played the golf course well is helpful.
Well, and you were talking about sight lines and that kind of stuff. That's why these practice rounds are so important. When you play your same golf course over and over again, you kind of get routine to where to hit it. But when you're going out to compete, and 4 straight rounds of individual stroke play, is that, and then match play if you make it?
Yeah, so it's 3 rounds of stroke play with all 30 teams, and then they cut to 15, and those 15 play a week from today. So what they call race to the 8. And the final 8 make match play, and ultimately that's the goal, is to get to match play. Because if you get to match play, you got a 1 in 8 shot at winning the national championship.
Wow. Well, and that means you talk about a grind, David. David Hayes, he's sitting in with me today. He's the host of the Afternoon Underdogs. Jay had to be out of town. Just the grind that most of your tournaments, if not all of them, are 54-hole events. Even the regional tournament was a 54-hole event. You switch and you go to the national championship. Obviously, you've earned the right to be there, but you've got to play 54 holes, try to make the top 15, play another round of 18, and if you make the top 8, you could potentially be playing that would be 4 more rounds of golf, 3 more rounds to win the national championship.
That puts the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour to shame then.
And then you got to get out there and know the golf course. So is there anything, we talk about this all the time, is there anything differently you're going to be doing from a conditioning or rest standpoint going into this grind of what the NCAA Golf National Championship is?
Yeah, it's 8 rounds in 10 days, and 8 rounds in 7 days. And for the biggest thing, we got back on Wednesday night about midnight, and we really put the focus on rest. Rest is going to be the big thing. I think last year when we actually made it to match play, we had a 3:15 wake up call because we had a 6:20 tee time the next morning. So that in itself, you're like, what in the world? But it's a long week. Ultimately, there's not a player or a coach that wouldn't want to stay out there and play all those rounds, but it's a tiring week. So we've put a lot of focus on rest. 3 hours of practice a day, so we're not trying to kill them, and really just get some rest, build some confidence, and be ready to go.
So when do y'all head out there? I know it gets kicked off here real shortly, but when are y'all heading out there to Scottsdale?
We leave tomorrow afternoon and get out there, and there's a walkthrough on Wednesday. I think we're going to ditch the walkthrough because it's just going to be 100 degrees, and all you can do is walk the fairways. Can't go on the greens or anything. So I think we're going to play somewhere Wednesday afternoon, practice round Thursday, and play kicks off on Friday.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then cut to Monday, and then match play starts after that.
Warriors.
Correct.
That is a grind.
Yeah.
There is no doubt. You mentioned the temperature out there. Scottsdale, the forecast is, like you said, I didn't even think about it until you said something. David, the forecast for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 94, 99, 100, 100 on Monday. Now, they say it's a dry heat, but it's still 100 degrees.
It's still 100 degrees. How do you keep your players on top of hydration and weather like that, Coach?
I think the big thing is you can't do it while you're out there. So we really promoted it over the last couple of weeks of keeping them hydrated, teaching them that how much water their body actually needs on a regular basis to not be dehydrated, even here in this Florida heat. But we've added some salt tablets. and some supplements such as drip drops, which is going to give them electrolytes and things like that. So we've already started that process to prepare them for later on this week. Because if you start this week, you're in trouble. Because most of us are already dehydrated, just walking around. So we've tried to prep them early, and knock on wood, we've done everything we can to prepare them for what the dry heat of Arizona has in store for them.
Which you did make a good point. We are hot and humid around here, so kind of your season isn't in the heat of the summer, but maybe something you're used to a little bit more than, say, some teams from up in the Pacific Northwest or even the Northeast. So maybe a little bit of an advantage there potentially.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's a dry heat, so it does feel a little bit cooler for us, but at the same time, sometimes you forget to drink in those scenarios. So, but it's starting to heat up around here. It's been hot for the last couple of weeks, so definitely an advantage for us over a team who's not, who maybe still in the 60s and the 70s during the daytime hours.
It's Greyhawk. Is that bent grass out there and overseeded with rye?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So it's similar to to the regional where you just played. Obviously, a completely different style golf course, being a desert, kind of more of a link style golf course. But getting ready for bent grass greens. I can't remember if you said, do you have any bent grass at Seminole Legacy for practice?
We don't have any bent grass, as it kind of dies in our heat.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We did overseed some of our practice area with that ryegrass for the sole purpose of preparing for the national championship. So we've spent the last couple of days on that, getting the girls used to the lies they can get and what a ball's going to do out of it from a chipping perspective. So that's been really, really helpful, and I think we'll use it towards the end of this week and next week to really help us as we progress throughout the championship.
Well, that's something people don't even think about really either when they're thinking about golf at this high of a level, the different types of grasses in the different climate zones, and there's certain grasses that can survive but the fact that you have a facility where you can do some things and overseed just specifically for the national championship is got to be a huge benefit for y'all, and it sounds like it is. This a little bit of Golf Channel coverage for the national championship. Hopefully, if you guys can make it to that final stroke play round, I know it'll be televised. Is that something that is just status quo for y'all, or do the girls get excited about that kind of stuff?
I think they get excited. We've got a few sets of parents making the trip, but most of our parents aren't going to be able to make it. So the fact that they have the opportunity to watch their daughters play on national television is pretty special. And I think the girls get excited about it. They know if the TV cameras are around, most likely that's a good thing.
Yes.
And that we're probably playing pretty well. If it's quiet, nobody's around, well, we better pick it up because, nobody cares to watch bad play, but they do. They get excited about it. We try to mirror it a couple times a year where we put some of our folks here from Florida State behind them just to get them used to having TV cameras because it's not the norm. Most of our college tournaments, it's just us, no cameras. So the more they can get used to it, the better.
Coach, you're in your 13th season now here with Florida State, and you brought up earlier the importance of relaxing and resting, and the sport of golf is so mentally challenging as well. What have been the differences in your 13 years about that relaxing and resting up with the world of social media and always on our phones? I mean, are players still actually resting and relaxing if their mental is continuously going with the cell phones and whatnot?
That is a great question. They are attached to their cell phones. That's this generation. So we have different times where, when we're at dinners and things like that, where I take their phones, and different times take their phones to relax. We talk a lot about when they're prepping to even go to bed, to not be on their phones, not have the television on, because it does keep them up. I gave them as a gift one year blue light glasses to try to calm them down, so at least if they had to be on their computer doing schoolwork, at least they had the blue light glasses. But Yeah, it's tough to shut our brains off, and we are so attached to social media and things like that. But I think our players have done a pretty good job of understanding how important it is to rest their brain. And that means, like, I shut maybe some music. Some of them would say their soothing music is rap. Whatever works for them, that's fine. But at the same time, you don't want to be watching videos and typing on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that at the same time. So I think it's a valuable piece. I don't think we do a great job, but I think we do a pretty decent job at teaching them how to calm themselves. Plus, sports psychologists are everywhere. I mean, sports psychology is an important piece as well, where the kids learn how to relax. We have a stress and relaxation class on campus, and I always encourage the girls, take it. Teach me.
Yeah.
Teach me how to de-stress and relax.
Yes. Especially after making that 5th spot in the NCAA regionals. Yeah.
Absolutely. Man. Whew.
So I did want to ask you, Coach, so you got your first head coaching job at Princeton. What's been the differences in coaching? You know, you got your first job there at Princeton, but then you come back to Florida State, and that's your alma mater. What's the difference in coaching a different job or your first head coaching job compared to being maybe more comfortable or maybe more pressure cooking environment with your alma mater?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different. At Princeton, there's no scholarships either. So I kind of got out of the athletic scholarship world for a little bit and kind of got back to the basics of coaching. I coached by myself at Princeton, but I needed to get out. I needed to figure out if I could actually be a head coach, because all I knew was Florida State. Having played here and been an assistant coach here at Florida State, I didn't know. You know, I didn't know if I could actually run my own program or what I was all about. So Princeton allowed me to come up with my coaching philosophy, meet some wonderful young ladies. You know, I basically spent 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the golf course because at Princeton, academics rule the roost. So kind of polar opposite. And the toughest interview I've ever done was the interview to come back here because I knew everybody on the search committee. And I had to figure out a way to separate myself from everybody else and show them and explain to them how I would change things around here. So, yeah, it's a little more pressure cooker around here, but at the same time, you know, ultimately it's all about having great student athletes who really buy into what you're trying to inspire them to do, which is play good golf. And so it was the same in that, in the student athletes, of getting them to buy in to you and work hard. But definitely being at a Power 5 Division I institution like Florida State, you know, the expectation is that you go out and you win, you know, and you play well and you compete at the highest level day in and day out. So I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I couldn't get any more polar opposite than going from Florida State to Princeton and then back to Florida State. But at the same time, I think it taught me the value of golf itself, and that the student athletes are exactly the same. It just depends on what they want for their future. Kids at Princeton, they want to play good golf and then go work for a Fortune 500 company and be a CEO. Kids here at Florida State are the same. They just want to be a master of their craft at golf and be a professional golfer. And some of them, too, want to be CEOs. So loved every part of that, but I could not get any polar opposite.
Well, and apparently the expectations you've set have paid off well with your 7th straight NCAA national championship appearance, which in that in itself, just the difficulty before they were letting 5 teams from each regional come in, where they just now changed that rule this year, where it'll be a record 30 teams competing in the NCAA Women's National Championship coming up at Grayhawk Country Club. Amy, we got a break coming up. We appreciate you joining us. I know it was on short notice, but we are definitely rooting for the Florida State Lady Noles over there at Grayhawk Country Club. Safe travels out there. We'll be following along. Good luck. I hope the girls play well and enjoy the moment again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for all your support, and everybody can think good thoughts and lots of birdies.
Definitely.
We certainly appreciate it.
Lots of birdies. I know there's a big Knowles Lady Golf contingent out at Bay Point that has some serious support from, including John Fortner and a few other people. Amy, thanks again, and good luck in the national championship.
Thanks so much, y'all. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. All right, that was Amy Bond. She's the FSU women's golf coach. They are heading to Grayhawk Country Club for the NCAA National Championship for the 7th straight time. When we get back, we'll finish up the show. It's been a quick day again, and we'll finish up the show with some. I'll give David the J questions of the day and get his thoughts on that. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Come on vacation.
Summer vacation. Hey, how's your vacation going?
Leave on probation.
Sheriff's deputies in Panama City Beach arresting 161 people during an out-of-control spring break weekend.
Welcome to the Emerald Coast. Have a great time at the beautiful beaches, but not like end up in the back of a police cruiser great. A friendly reminder from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The new Smokin' Triple Stack at Firehouse Subs is stacked high with honey ham, smoked turkey, and slow-smoked beef brisket. To top it off, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. The Smokin' Triple Stack Sub. Get it for a limited time, only at Firehouse Subs. Participating U.S. locations, Firehouse of America, LLC, and Firehouse Subs suppliers together will donate 0.09% of purchases in 2023 at Firehouse Subs locations to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the purchase of life-saving equipment with a minimum donation of $1 million.
Gulf Coast Aquarium is now Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet. They have a full line of live reptiles and reptile supplies, including the area's largest supplier of ZooMed products. ZooMed, a family-owned business with over 45 years of U.S.-based manufacturing. ZooMed is #1 in reptile products worldwide and is now available at Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet, 469 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
Coming in hot.
So hot.
It'll be a hot one. Really hot. Goddamn.
The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I want to thank David Hayes for joining me today, filling in for my normal golf cohort, Toronto Maple Leafs bandwagon fan, Jay Henley.
How's that working out for him?
It's working out as good as the Devils getting bounced in the second round. But now we appreciate you, David, joining me today. David is your host of the Afternoon Underdogs that you can listen to him and the rest of the crew at 4 p.m. this afternoon, as you can every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. And don't forget about the Coach James Hale Show every morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Don't forget to follow us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you missed the show today, both on the radio or live streaming, you can go back and watch it on any of those platforms. And, of course, visit ESPNPC.com. We appreciate Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios being our sponsor. You can visit them over there on West 23rd Street. Just start heading east and you'll see them on the right side. But any of your car service needs, boat service needs, new tires, whatever it may be, they are a one-stop shop and can handle all of that. Appreciated Amy Bond joining us through her busy schedule of getting ready to head over there to Grayhawk Country Club to compete in her 7th straight NCAA National Championship. I will say I didn't want to ask her about her opponents, but Stanford's going to be a tough one to beat in that thing. Rose Zhang is your defending individual national championship, and they've just been cooking against every team or every tournament they've played in. But you got to play the game. And speaking of, if you watch the, I don't know if you're an XFL fan or not, but the XFL had their championship this past Saturday, and the Arlington Renegades ended up beating the DC Defenders. I think they were like an 8.5-point underdog. They finished 4-6 on the season, but had a huge playoff win. I forget who it was against, but with that being said, they ended up winning the title, which was pretty cool. I've enjoyed the XFL. I haven't really got into the USFL as much, but I like the XFL because there's some names in there that and that brings me to my first question of the day, which normally would go to Jay. I'm probably going to get a little bit more out of you than I would Jay.
We'll see, man.
Jay,
we'll see.
So I guess my first question is the XFL a good second chance for a lot of these guys that might have got signed to a practice squad and end up getting cut or whatever it may be? You think it's a good chance for them to potentially get back into the NFL should they have good seasons with the XFL?
Oh, 100%, because you've got all the eyes in the world on you, and that's one of the benefits of it being in the spring league. And I think another thing that the XFL has a leg up on, and I wouldn't want it to change, but with the USFL, right, the XFL rolls right after, like the first week after the Super Bowl. Boom, here we are. We're in the XFL football season. Our junior football season has started, if you will. And then the USFL kind of rolls into or begins in April, so you kind of lose that luster, if you will. You've changed your concentration, or your focus has become more MLB, NBA, or NHL, whatever it is that you like. But you look at a guy like A.J. McCarron, and even Ben DiNucci, if a team needs a backup quarterback, and A.J. McCarron is a backup quarterback in the NFL, there's no question about that, but his kids wanted to see him actually play, so kudos to him for actually doing that, putting his body back on the line for a lesser amount of money, and it proved to work out dividends for him, because I think he's going to get signed to an NFL team if he wants to play, and could, be one of those guys like I'm not going to call him a Brock Purdy, but more or less a Josh Johnson, who finds himself in the starting quarterback role due to injury. So I think, of course, anywhere that you can have eyes on you, even if it's semi-professional league, and you start making waves, the NFL is going to find you. But I think it's a great second chance league, and it's also a great thing for these guys who are coming out of college football. They don't have what it takes to get to the league, but yet they can do what they love for a little bit longer, as long as their body allows it.
Yeah, and may develop a little more. And you were speaking of Ben DiNucci. He actually signed with the Denver Broncos yesterday. So kudos to him to actually getting signed. You've got tons of players on each team getting looks in these mini camps and stuff coming up. Nobody officially signed other than Ben DiNucci thus far, but there's a lot. If you go through the list, there's a lot of XFL players, especially from the the better teams like the St. Louis Battlehawks have looks like about 16 or so guys that are getting some looks on NFL teams. So yeah, pretty cool if you go undrafted, and it's obviously good competition, and you got a lot of NFL scouts that are checking it out. So I think it's cool to see. Again, I don't know as much about the USFL, but it seems like the XFL is definitely a closer step to the NFL than the USFL.
Well, I think one of the things that definitely helps the XFL is who their face is in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it seems like
promotion.
Yeah, exactly. His promoting skills, his marketing skills. They've done just such a great job with the XFL and the USFL. Kudos to both of these leagues, right? The XFL, this is the first and third in its third try, and it looks like where we've stopped now that they're going to go for season number 2. That's awesome. I think the more football opportunities that we give football players, the better. And the USFL here in the middle of their second season. Now, you're not seeing it necessarily in the crowd or in ticket sales necessarily, but that's just not the wave that we're in these days in this new age. It's all about the TV sales or the TV contract. So if people are, watching on TV, then these leagues will sustain. And I think it's great for football, especially when you've got this story here with the XFL. And we're not talking about the DC Defenders who lost one game and closed as 9-point favorites going into the game. And then a team who was 4-6 going after the regular season wins the whole thing. So that to me shows that there's a parity parity there in their competition, and anyone who likes competition loves good parity.
Yeah, parity is what makes sports so great. That's for sure. Yeah, the improbable run that they beat the Houston. I want to say it's the Houston Roughnecks. I think they were a big favorite again, and Arlington came in and beat them 26-11, and DC beat Seattle 37-21, and then Arlington comes in and wins that championship. All right, we'll go a completely different direction because that's what these questions usually do. Still football related. Better overall football player, Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley?
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. And it's not that close as far as a better overall football player. The injuries happened to both of these guys. Saquon Barkley, if I'm getting a guy on my team, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey because he's a two-way threat. And who was going to be the emergency quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers? It was either
Which
going
I'm
to be
still
Juszczyk.
disappointed that they did, because Purdy was just throwing those stupid little screen passes. I wish they would have gave him a basic playbook and just let him open it up.
Your back's against the wall.
Yeah, what else is going to happen?
Pull every stop out, because you can't go up against the Philadelphia Eagles and play one-sided ball. That you're not going to defeat that defense like that.
I don't think you can beat anybody playing one-sided ball.
100%, especially not in the NFL. So for me, it's Christian McCaffrey because of his capabilities as a receiver. But still, Saquon Barkley is, I don't want to say the sole reason. Brian Daboll deserves a lot of credit. So does Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones had his best year in his only year that he's had a healthy running back in Saquon Barkley. So he's absolutely influential and a huge part of the New York Giants football success.
Well, and I think a healthy Barkley and McCaffrey is just good for the NFL in general. That's for sure. All right. Different sport, one of my favorite sports, hockey. Are the Seattle, obviously it's Game 7 tonight, huge game. If you want to watch an awesome, fun hockey game, tune in tonight where the Seattle Kraken take on the Dallas Stars in Dallas to see who advances to go on to the Western Conference Final against the Las Vegas Knights. There the Las Vegas Knights are again. They've had 6 seasons as a expansion team, and they've made the playoffs 5 of those 6 seasons, and they went to a cup final once too. Or the Seattle Kraken be the new Vegas. Obviously, they'd have to win tonight, but are the Seattle Kraken a legitimate cup contender?
This year, I would say that they are a cup contender. Dallas seems to be a stronger team overall, but the will there for the Seattle Kraken is something that's unheralded. I wouldn't say that the new Vegas Golden Knights, because that run is just absolutely insane. Yeah, they haven't won the cup, but to have the amount of opportunities that they've had as an expansion team is wild. I think that a lot of diehard hockey fans aren't the biggest fans of these expansion teams coming and just taking the world by fire. But I think that the Seattle Kraken, does it get any better than for just your everyday hockey fan, not your diehard? Does it get any better than 2 expansion teams taking it, going at it in the Western Conference Finals?
That's what I'm pulling for the Kraken tonight. You would love to see 2 and I wonder. I mean, I'm sure there has been 2 expansion because there's only been so many. I mean, there's been a lot early on, but I'm sure there's been 2 expansion teams in a conference final before.
But is there another sport that you could say that about? Maybe basketball in the early days, or baseball as it was expanding. But I mean,
yeah, probably. I mean, the hockey, you've had more expansion teams in the last 30 years than any other sport. That's for sure. I mean, the Lightning, the Panthers, all the Columbus Blue Jackets.
So it's not conference finals, but Major League Baseball, the first time that 2 not original baseball teams played each other in the World Series wasn't until 2015 when it was the Royals and the Mets.
Oh, wow.
There you go. I mean, that's a long
And those were established franchises by then.
By then, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And I wonder what...
Great stat, James.
Yeah, I wonder what makes hockey so you can be... I know you have the expansion draft, but you were even talking about the Vegas Knights. They kind of went all in with the top players that they could possibly get, and the Kraken kind of walked both sides of that line, get some good players and maybe not the best players out there, and they've seemed to build quite the culture to take a shot at the cup.
And I think that's what it comes down to for me is the culture, right? Because Seattle is look at all of their fan bases in the professional sports world, and they're up there with all of them. The next thing Seattle needs is the Supersonics to come back.
Yes, they do. I mean, we've got all this momentum. Their fan base is awesome up there. It rains a lot, so getting out to watch some sports probably keeps you happy. I'll throw one more at you before we talk about what we're doing tomorrow. Can a Live Tour player win a major championship?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I think you have, and that's kind of the beauty of where the Live Tour is in my, opinion is that they have some of the best golfers in the world, and they in the game of golf. If you're playing good golf, you're playing good golf. It doesn't matter if it's 54 or if it's 72 holes. If you're playing good golf, man, it will. I mean, look at Phil Mickelson. He didn't win it, but does that story just not make you excited for the game of golf?
It's certainly good for the game. And yeah, I mean, I was texting somebody while DJ was doing that playoff putt, and I was like, I don't care if it's 54 or 72. If you've got to make a 20-foot putt to give yourself a chance to win $4 million, I don't care how many holes you've played leading up to that. That's pressure, and that's simulating what you're going to have to deal with in these major championships.
I think the only drawback is that, if they want to wear shorts, they can't when they're playing for the major.
Although in the PGA Championship, you can wear shorts in the practice rounds.
Oh, can you now?
Which, yeah, because the PGA Tour is the governing body over the PGA Championship, or PGA of America versus the PGA Tour.
Gotcha.
We've got a great show lined up. David, I appreciate you hanging out with me this morning and afternoon as we split the morning and afternoon here on the Inside Drive. Tomorrow, we've got a couple awesome guests coming on. Got Phil Shomo is going to be coming in at 12 p.m. He's a pretty famous sports psychologist, works with a lot of universities and golfers. And then also, don't know exactly what time yet, but Olivia Bakos is going to be calling in. She's part of the USC Trojans beach volleyball team, and we're anxious to talk to her tomorrow about their three-peat in the national championship.
I mean, three-peat in anything is just...
It's just very, very difficult.
Yeah. I just hope we're not talking about that this time next year. Georgia looking at 4.
Well, the six-year Bennett is gone.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Inside Drive live here from inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Don't forget David Hayes and all the afternoon underdogs will be on at 4 p.m. Leave it on 104.3, 102.1, or 101.9. We will see y'all tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida is already your home for the most live and local sports talk. And now we're taking...
Oh, he got all of that one.
The Inside Drive. Ryan Mulvey, midday.